Let's just take the other, on this one point, we're talking about immigration here. Let's just take the other side of the balance here. We've got Trump claiming that he's going to round up 12 million, 20 million people and deport them. Just think for a moment of the details of this insane project, right? And just how ethically unsavory it is, right? I mean, we're talking about concentration camps. We're talking about splitting up families. Where there are kids who have both parents or one parent who are undocumented immigrants who would be deported under this regime, and yet the kids themselves are citizens, right? I mean, how does any of that work?
The polling on mass deportation is quite shocking.
What is it? I'm unaware of.
It's almost majority support in the country. I wish I had the polls in front of me, but it's up there in the 40s and 50s. There is and even among Democrats, there is like a 32% support for mass deportation.
Who are all the rich people and business owners who want their restaurant workers or landscapers or nannies deported? I mean, it makes who are the people who are going to be happy to see this happen?
Here we have this is a poll. More than half of all Americans, including a quarter of Democrats, support the mass deportation of immigrants who are living in the country illegally. That's 54% of the public in general. Now, that to me is, I don't think they've really thought through what this is and what this could be. In fact, I think it would be impossible to do.
Yeah. There's no way they've thought about the fact that we have American citizens who have parents who would be deported. Like literally, there's like a 6-year-old in school with your kid whose parents or whose mother could be deported under these conditions.
Let alone the impact on the economy, if you actually did this. And that's what some of my friends who are more sanguine about this would say, well, if he really tried to do this, the economy would seize up, would go into a recession instantly. He'd have to change course. He couldn't do this. And maybe they're correct. Or he could try. And as soon as these awful images started to emerge, there'd be a huge backlash. And what really these polls are saying is that we want this stopped. What's been going on, we want stopped. And if there's been a mass movement in, we want a mass movement out. And they don't think he's actually going to do it. And he certainly didn't do it in terms of the border wall in the first term. So the question then becomes, is he more organized this way? Have they got their shit together? Will they actually be able to do this or make this stick? Or will, and this is what the super cynical say, well, look, he's just going to start this. There'll be a lot of what Mitt Romney called self-deportation, and he'll just concentrate on the criminals in the interior and so on and so forth. And, it won't be that big a deal.
Well,
I think as soon as you're talking about putting people in camps in large numbers in order to throw them out the country and splitting up families, it is a big, big, awful deal. But the fact that we got to the point where most people in this country think that's conceivable is, I think, more about the failure of the establishment than about Trump.
Yeah, I just don't. Well, I guess this does fall in the bucket of the failure of the establishment. I mean, we have just this single data point that 40 of his 44 senior-most political appointees, cabinet members and everyone else, most of these I think are cabinet members because he churned through a fair number of those. 40 of 44 don't support him. And we've got, multiple generals, Mattis and Milley and McRaven, those are just the M's, who describe him as basically a total maniac. I mean, Milley is now calling him the most dangerous person he's ever met. John Kelly called him John Kelly, who's also a general, a Marine general, who was Homeland Security Secretary and then became Trump's longest-serving chief of staff. Kelly has called him the most flawed person he has ever met in his life, and said he meets any plausible definition of a fascist. Right? These are not partisan attacks on the man. These are Republicans who served under him, who are have real reputations for probity and taking the measure of other human beings, and they've all come away horrified by how this guy operates behind closed doors in conversations about things that truly matter. I mean,
Yeah.
most importantly, national security here.